This is my 1989 Toyota Supra, and yeah, it's a bit rough, but I've always had a soft spot for the Mark III. Pop-ups, Targa roof, Turbo 6, what's not to love? Today's the start of something big, so we're pulling out the old 7M and making way for what's next. The mighty 7M GTE. It's a fantastic engine, and I've had my fair share of fun with these engines. 3 litre, double overhead cam, single turbo, put a manual behind it and you can have a whole lot of fun. This engine though, it's going to get removed. I have got different plans for this vehicle. I did want to potentially build this, and there was a lot of comments that suggested it also, but this is actually going to get removed. I have told a guy in Victoria that it's his, but I'm still thinking about keeping it. Kind of dug off me, but this engine's really nostalgic for me, and I'm thinking about a potential nostalgia build for myself. I used to have an MS123 Crown, and this is what powered it. So I might do that in the future, so I'm going to hold on to it for a little bit just now. It is getting removed today though, but before we do that, I want to do a compression test on it. So I've got the Tool Pro compression tester. I'm also going to remove the oil filter and cut the filter open too, to make sure there's no bearing material in the filter. These did have a wonderful oil pump issue. Well, not issue, but I think just as time went on, the oil pumps wear, so they lose oil pressure. So that's what we're doing today, and then we'll get this engine out, clean this bay up, and then we'll start talking about my new engine. It's still a 3 litre, it's still a 6-cylinder, but no, it's not a 2JZ. So comment below what you think, what engine we're putting in this thing, and then all will be revealed later in the episode. Fire away, Westy. Hit the key. What's your guess? What's your guesses?
Oh, guesses?
I'm gonna say 100 across the board.
100. Wow, that's pretty low, bro.
Oh, come on.
It was even too, so if one's 100, they'll all be 100. Close. I'm gonna go with 130.
All right, sweet. Fire away.
All right.
What's that?
Oh, bro, not bad.
125. Nice one. All right. Well, that's a good sign.
It is a good sign.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, nice. All right.
Well, that's a pretty good result. 125, 125, and then 120 for the rest. Always good to note it somewhere on the valve cover's good. So, I mean, I could be writing down anything, but that's actually a true reading. Before we pull the engine out too, we are gonna measure the driveline angles just to give us a bit of a reference for the engine conversion. Always a good thing to note. And then we'll get to pulling the oil filter off later and cut that open. If that filter's good, I'm gonna keep this engine.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
I'm gonna keep this engine.
Sweet. Nothing but the best. Soak all of the bolts. As noted in the previous episode, we just kind of slapped this thing together to get it running, so the wiring is just flopping around in the breeze. The inlet manifold's only held on by a couple of bolts, and there's no cooling system or anything with the car, so disconnecting and removing all these items didn't take very long.
Righto. We're going to spear off on a little tangent here, and we're going to do education time with Westy. I'll do my best. This is a very controversial topic. Pinion angle, driveline angles. It's also very important. If we get this wrong, the universals can potentially run too far outside their range of motion of what they're designed to work for and induce vibrations. Tail shafts, as you're probably mostly aware, spin very fast. With an overdrive, they will spin even faster than the engine. So if you're doing 3,000 RPM in overdrive, the tail shaft is even spinning even faster than that. So we need to get this right. So we've got, on this particular car, we've got about 3 degrees. The engine is laying back about 3 degrees. I've written 4 here, but disregard that. On the output of the gearbox to the tail shaft, we have an angle change, and then we have an angle change as it comes back into the diff again. Ideally, we want to be getting the diff around about 2 degrees lower in angle than the engine, so that when it torques up under load, that all the universal joints, what's leaving the gearbox, matches what's coming back into the diff, and they elliptically cancel each other out, eliminating vibrations. There's a number of online calculators you can use for this sort of stuff. Hardy Spicer do one, Tremec do one, and they're all pretty good. They come up with the same result. But it is important that you spend a bit of time with this and make sure that you work out what your angles are before you pull your engine out of your car, if you've got that luxury. And especially when fitting your new engine to the car, because if you get this wrong, lots of welding and cutting involved to get it right again, if you potentially. There's a whole lot to be said about this, and like I said, it is a very controversial topic, so do your own research before you get stuck in, as we are doing here.
It's also worth noting this is a IRS vehicle, not a solid axle.
That's right. Yeah, IRS, the centre, the housing itself won't actually move much. It's rubber suspended to the car. Anything that has a live differential under the back that's leaf sprung or coil sprung will actually move with the suspension and change your angles as it does that. So you want to be able to check that stuff, or at least calculate that stuff into your equations as well. Yeah, very important.
And don't find out on the dyno.
And don't find out on the dyno.
This car has been sitting for many years, and being that we live on the Sunshine Coast, which is close to the beach, that means that salt air will corrode everything in its path. Most of the bolts on this car are actually okay. The ones on the exhaust are very rusty, which is why I've sprayed everything with some CRC just to penetrate the threads and make removing those stubborn bolts a little bit easier. With the driveline angles noted down on a bit of paper, we've got a reference to work towards when we come to fit the new engine. So that means we can remove all of the Toyota items from this car: tail shaft, gearbox and engine, making sure to keep the important bolts like the ones from the tail shaft and the crossmember, which I'll need to use in the future. They are not the right bolts. There we go. Up. We've got the trusty old 7M and A340 out on a pallet. Pretty easy removal, nothing really caught us out. A couple of earth wires there, but it's quick little side cutters and we're good. So it's on a pallet now and we're about to cut the filter open. This is gonna change my decision of if I'm gonna keep the engine. I know I said at the start that I'm not gonna keep it, it's gonna get shipped away, but after doing that compression test, and we also found a reconditioning tag on the back of the block, whether that means it was once a wrecker motor and someone's covering their ass, or potentially it may have been rebuilt. The engine had great oil pressure too, so we might be onto a gem here, so I might be keeping it. If there's, old mate that wanted the engine doesn't care about it, he's gonna get it rebuilt anyway, so if there's bearings in this, I'll probably sell it on, but otherwise this project is eating me away in my brain, so I might keep it. Also another thing, if you are going to ship a gearbox, or even if it's going on the bench, on the shelf, make up a little tab to hold the converter in, because you don't want the converter to fall out. It will be a bad time, especially if it's 3 meters high on pallet racking. So quick little bit of metal, bolt it on with a bolt and it's not going to come out. Oil filter cutting tool, I bought this online, it was like $40. Definitely a good tool to have. I've borrowed both Kai Knight's and also Matt Rogan's filter cutting tool before, and if you've got to borrow a tool more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, buy it yourself. So we're going to definitely a good addition to the workshop. I'll just cut it open now. Basically I do it the other way. I usually mount the tool in the vise, but Westy's done it this way.
Did you ever get your tin of bloody soup and turn it upside down on the can opener?
No, I didn't do that.
Well,
that's a good point. All right. Yeah, this makes sense now to me. This makes sense. And it's also going to hold all the oil, of course. Oh my gosh. I've been doing it wrong the whole time.
Oh, Woody.
Yeah. Mighty fine. I like that, Westy. I like that a lot. Looking good. Awesome. Smoko's ready. Tooting the horn out here. I'm very happy with that.
Yep.
So that's a really good sign, and I do suffer from the Toyota sickness, as we all have some kind of manufacturer sickness, but hoarding parts is my problem of mine. But at the same time, look, I've got space on the pallet racking and a project in mind, which could potentially be a good little thing to watch anyway, so a nice cruiser. Sweet. Maybe, I don't know. I'll get back to you, Barry. Right about now at the time where I start prepping the engine bay for paint, but I've made a pact to myself. Well, I've told myself that I don't want this to be that vehicle. It's meant to be a bit of a not a hack job, but something that I don't have to get carried away with. Although I will be doing a lot of work suspension-wise, and I do want it to present well, for now, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. We are gonna remove all of the Toyota stuff there. There's wiring and cruise control and TEMS. It's got like electronically adjusted shocks from factory, which is pretty cool. Toyota were pioneers. Like, it's a pretty awesome thing to have in your sports car. But all of it's gonna get removed. The factory fuse box most likely will stay there because I would be wiring that in with a Haltech. Depending how I go, I might end up with a Nexus R3 or R5, but I may also use the Haltech S3, which I can just reuse the factory Toyota stuff and just power it up. So there's heaps of stuff to get rid of, so I suppose we'll just hook in and remove what we can, and then we'll get the engine out and start talking about the new donor engine. I've never worked on an MA70 to this extent before, but I still feel quite at home. Being a Toyota fanboy, everything is quite familiar. It's pretty wild to see the difference in manufacturing from a car built in the 80s compared to something built nowadays. As the saying goes, they don't build them like they used to, and this is definitely such a good example of that. Everything is made of quality steel. There's over-engineered brackets left, right, and center. Toyota were definitely using their brains when they were building this car. With the nose cone off, we've got a bit more of a look with the intercooler and oil cooler stuff. You know, typical 80s, 90s Toyota, or just Japanese things with massive intercoolers. Quite a sizable unit for factory, which is probably more than up to the task of making some good power, really. External oil cooler, and this is the external power steer cooler, which again is quite sizey, and if I can retain that, I might actually use it, being that this is going to be a bit of a track car. So heavy duty, it's not rusted or anything, and I can see that working well. Depending on room for intercoolers though, that's the other thing, which makes it intercooler kind of, sometimes you do mount them on a bit of a V there. Getting that front bar off was actually a little bit difficult, to be honest. It was a lot of hidden bolts, but if I have to do it again, I'll probably stuff it up again. But I've got more of an idea now. I've stashed a 7M up on the pallet racking, and I'm going to save that for a future build. When it comes to engine swaps, you're spoiled for choice. You can swap a lot of engines into this engine bay. There's heaps of room. You're kind of limited with sump options. You do need to use something that's a mid or a rear sump. The logical explanation is obviously the Big Daddy 2JZ. This will bolt pretty well straight in. You can get JZ mounts for it. You can use a JZ rear sump, auto, manual, whatever you want to do. This engine is actually not for this car though, because this is for Kevo. We're going to use a different 3 litre, and that is a BMW N54. This came from your 135s, 335s, a few other, I think maybe 5 Series and 7 Series maybe had them. It's an alloy block, alloy head, 3 litre twin turbo. This is a direct injection engine. They make great power. You can put bigger injectors, bigger turbos. They've got a great following. You can make 600, 700, 800 horsepower. I think that's kind of pushing the factory limit, but pretty well you can make stout power with these things. I've been wanting to work with an N54 for so long. I've toyed with the idea of actually buying a BMW. They've got an awesome platform. They're a great car. They've got a huge following. But for me, I really wanted to convert one of these into a chassis that kind of maybe something that no one's really done before, and work with an engine that is not really common to swap out. So BMWs are known for oil leaks and, you know, the plastic housings failing, the wiring being dodgy. There's just so many issues with the BMW in a BMW chassis. But what happens when you eventually strip everything down, you're kind of left with this, which is, you know, in my opinion, it's going to be a very reliable option for an engine conversion. The plan is to basically remove the direct injection pump, the injectors, block off the injector holes, get rid of all the plastic housings that fail and break, replace all the wiring. We're using a Haltech ECU. We're going to use port injection, and the aim is to make that, you know, 600 horsepower through a manual transmission. What I've got back behind me here, it's the BMW Getrag. So that's the general idea anyway. And from here, I'm going to kind of try to be a bit more technical, try and explain a few things as we go. So today the aim is to get this engine mounted into the engine bay. They are a rear sump engine, and they also are a slanty engine. So the engine kind of pretty well sits like, maybe like that, I believe. So there's a bit of a gangster lean going on there, and we're going to have to try and work with that in the Supra chassis. Turbo wise, you're kind of limited for room here now because it leans over. Luckily, the steering column on the Supra is actually quite compact. It sits right close to the chassis rail. I'm probably not going to make a manifold for it. I'm probably just going to lop off the standard turbo manifolds from the twins and then merge that into one V-band. And the plan is to merge that into the G30 770 somewhere in front of the headlight there, or maybe low mounted, maybe in front of the engine. I don't know where it's going to go yet, but we've got to kind of get the engine in there and mounted first before we can make any more decisions. The power steering pump on the bottom may be an issue, so we might be swapping to electric power steering. And I also want to delete like the oil filter, oil cooler housing. Basically just delete as much as possible off the engine to make it as reliable as possible. So this is a pretty big job. Any engine conversion is, and myself and Westy, we're pretty keen to use an engine in a chassis that we're familiar with. I've never seen an M54 used as in an engine conversion like this, so really keen. Backed by the 6-speed manual, I think it's going to be an awesome track car. Something that is fast, not only in a straight line, but around corners. I've never really had a vehicle capable of going around corners fast and or drifting, so pretty keen on this project. If you like what you see, don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button or share this video to your mates. I've got heaps more content coming out in this car, so stay tuned. We'll see you next time. Drive safe and enjoy the moment. Cheers. If you want more from the Skid Factory, you can support us via Patreon, or you might like to check out our brand new channel, Skid Factory 2 After Hours, for a whole bunch of awesome, fresh content. Check it out. What's for dinner? Creamy chicken pasta. See you next week. I just want to show you what it's like trying to find a song. Booyaka, booyaka, wicked, wicked. You just sit here for hours and hours and hours.